All right, worldwide sales of CDs fell by 6% last year. Singles were down 16%. The music industry claims that one reason for that is the internet file swapping that some people use to trade an estimated 2.6 billion tracks every month. Joining us to talk about the downloading of music is in London, Paul Myers, the founder and CEO of the world's only P2P, that's peer-to-peer, file sharing service, subscription service called Wippit. Mr. Myers, welcome. Good to see you. Mr. Myers, welcome. Good to see you. Your service differs from those that have been so controversial in part because you do charge for it. How much do you charge, and then do you pay a licensing fee to the major record companies for access to their artists?
Yeah, we charge $49 a year, so it has to be a no-brainer price because we're competing with a lot of free stuff out there and also with traditional CDs. And yeah, we have to license all the music from different record companies. We've got 178 different record companies, and we share 50% of our revenues with the labels that contribute music to our service.
And if I subscribe to your service, can I then duplicate and trade those files with other computer users or download them onto a CD?
You can burn them to CD. It's unlimited download. So if you're $50, for $49, you can actually, if you're really that bored, download 60,000 tracks, put them onto your iPod, put them to CD, listen to them in the car. It's a really non-restricted, unlimited service. Mr.
Myers, we're going to be joined now in our conversation by Jon Healey of the Los Angeles Times. He covers the music business there. And in Boston by Mike Dries. He's the CEO of Newbury Comics, a mid-sized music retailer in the New England states. Welcome to you both. Let me turn to you, please, Mr. Healey of the Times. Why, you've just heard, I assume, Mr. Myers say that his service charges a fee and people can download and burn and so forth. Why would I pay money to Mr. Myers to do this when I can get fundamentally the same product for free from other services?
It's a question of whether you want to be legal. If you want to be legal, then you have to go with a service that is legally distributing music. If you don't care about such niceties, then go ahead, steal as much as you like.
How big a problem, Mr. Healey, do you think this is really for the music industry, for the music business? They, of course, say it is really damaging them.
Well, there's been no really good study that shows here's exactly what people do to replace their buying with taking from these free services. But if you look at all the evidence, it does suggest pretty strongly that there's an awful lot of stuff being downloaded and there's less things being bought. Put A together with B and you would come to the conclusion that the immense amount of activity on these file-sharing networks is hurting the industry.
Well, let's get an answer from a guy who really ought to know that, and that's Mike Dries of Newbury Comics. Mike, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Is your business, do you feel that your business is being hurt in CD sales by peer-to-peer networks and file sharing? And if so, by how much?
There's no question it's being hurt. I would guess it's in the 8 to 12% range right now. We did a number of consumer focus groups as well as provided a tremendous amount of empirical data in the Napster case and certainly convinced ourselves that those stores that were near college locations that had high bandwidth saw dramatic increases in burnt CDs, blank disc media sales along with a corresponding decline in new disc sales.
Mr. Myers, what do you say to people like Mr. Dries, a music retailer in Boston there, who sells not only music but obviously other goods and things like that? What do you say to him about his business, and what do you say to music artists who feel victimized by these peer-to-peer networks?
Well, I think the whole business is going to change. First of all, you've got to get the labels to put more content online, make it available. Got to lower the price of music online and actually shift more volume. It's not a difficult sum to do. You know, make it a tenth of the price and sell 11 times as much. Everybody should be better off. Perhaps the retailers will have to change focus, sell more T-shirts and M&M toothbrushes, associated stuff, the physical stuff that you can't actually download. It may be a shift in thinking, but this industry has been working on the same model for 100 years. It might be time for a change.
Mr. Dries, isn't that precisely what you've done with your business? As CD sales have come down as a percentage of revenues, haven't you boosted it by going into other lines like furniture, T-shirts, and Lord knows what else?
Absolutely, but I think that kind of begs the question of what's up with the relationship between artists and their consumers. We in that relationship obviously represent a certain form of friction, but I think the idea that the average consumer that might spend $80 a year on music is going to somehow spend $800 a year on music through a subscription service, whatever, is a bit optimistic. Having said that, I think that the new offering out by Apple and whatnot is very intriguing in terms of the flexibility it allows consumers. I think the $40,000 question there is, ultimately, will the revenue be enough to offset the dramatic loss of physical sales that we're seeing?
This is the Apple plan to allow you to download cuts for 99 cents a cut. I want to come back to you, Mr. Myers, in a minute on that. But first, before I do that, let me go back to Jon Healey. Last week, there was a very interesting court decision that basically said that at least two of the major file-sharing networks, Grokster being one, and another one, I believe, owned by Star, what is it? Streamcast. I can't keep Streamcast and Starwave and all of them straight. But at any rate, that they were not abetting copyright infringement. This was seen as a victory for them. How important is that?
Well, I don't think that the record labels felt that they were going to be able to defeat online piracy simply by suing the middlemen. And I think what the judge ruled was that these truly are middlemen in the same way that Sony, when it makes a VCR, is a bit of a middleman on videotape piracy. So what the labels have grudgingly come to the conclusion over the months and years of watching this is that they have to attack this problem systematically. If they want to make an impact on the behavior, they have to get individuals' attentions, and they've started doing that by trying to reach out through these networks to tell people what you're doing is illegal, and then also make them aware of the consequences. And they've started doing that by suing individuals. They did 4 lawsuits against college operators of Napster-like services. And then the third thing is to make these services seem less appealing than services like Wippit by gumming up the works, putting bogus files and the like on them. Right. The final thing, though, and I think Paul makes this point very well, the labels really do have to make their content available and have to make it available on terms that strike the consumer as reasonable. This has been a slow process for the labels, and as Paul would probably point out, not all of them seem to be completely sold on it.
Right. Mr. Rosso is the president of Grokster, one of the peer-to-peer file-sharing networks that was mentioned in that suit, was told that it was not abetting copyright infringement. He joins us now from my home state, Virginia Beach, Virginia.
Welcome
Mr. Rosso,
back
good to have you with us, a late add to the field here like the Kentucky Derby.
Yes.
You must be cheered by this. I'm curious, how do you make money if you are not selling the content? You're just basically a facilitator of a connection between me and someone else in a distant place. How do you make money?
Well, basically, Tyler, we're a advertising-based service, and we also distribute software from all kinds of different software development companies.
Let me make sure I understand it. Why your service is distinguished from Napster, which was basically brought down through a copyright infringement source. Why are you different from Napster? How do you work differently?
Well, we're a completely different architecture. There's no central server involved. When you sign on to our network, you're out there. There's no monitoring of any sort. You are anonymous, and you can do what you like, more or less.
Right. So you're not, the fact that you're not a library of songs, unlike Napster, means that you are just providing software that people can use to talk to each other.
Absolutely correct.
All right, fine. Thanks very much. Alas, we're out of time there. My thanks to all of our guests, Wayne Rosso of Grokster, Paul Myers from London of the subscription service Wippit.com. Got to love that name. Jon Healey of the LA Times. I like the name the LA Times, too. And Newbury Comics, Mike Drees. Mike, great to have you with us. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.